entrepreneur, actor, fireman. What's a day in the life of Guy Fortt look like?
Entrepreneur has always been with who I am. When I was 25 years old, I owned a restaurant. I didn't know what I was doing, a Jamaican food restaurant, but I wanted to own it.
Entrepreneurs got to be a little crazy.
It's crazy, but I tried it. The blessing that I had, I was at the fire department. And back then, you work 3 days on, 3 days off. Right. Now you work 1 24-hour shift on, 3 days off. That gave me the time to be able to do the things that I love to do, like go on Broadway and be in The Color Purple for 4 years, be able to build the foundations of entrepreneurship, be able to help get into the water. So the day in the life of Guy Fortt is I get up early in the morning, I do Bible study with my brothers, every man a warrior, 5:30, 6 o'clock, I'm off tech school, helping out with the kids' mentorship. While I'm there, I'm also doing some work, other work, entrepreneurial work. I get home, 3 or 4 o'clock, let's say, I will go right into building the brand and trying to get purchase orders.
Welcome to Mission Control. At Peralta Design, we launch brands. But for now, let's launch right into this episode.
3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Welcome to this episode of Mission Control. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands. And we are actually leveling up with this episode because we have someone from the Screen Actors Guild gracing our studio, the one and only Guy Fortt. Welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Thank you. How you doing, Ramon?
Great, man. It's so good to see you, my brother.
Always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, so you're acting. Your kids are in football. You're a partner in this amazing tasting water company, 1186. Right. So we can't wait to dive in and learn all about everything you're up to. And
already starting with the puns. That's early on the show.
Yeah. We're diving in. We're gonna make a splash. Yes.
Nice.
Yes. So, but first, you guys, I do need to introduce the right-hand man, Mr. Jorge Peso Candelario.
Yes, sir.
The return of the Mac, whose coffee stays black.
Oh, wow.
It's better than last week.
It is. We'll give him a Jamaican air horn or something at some point.
No, he hasn't earned that yet.
All right.
He's got to earn it.
And
Tough
of course,
crowd.
Yeah, Kevin's very conservative with the sounds. And we got Kevin on the soundboard.
All right.
All right, everybody. So listen, man, I'm excited because, of course, this episode, but right after this, I'm flying Porsche Airlines down to Bridgeport for the Hispanic Chamber of Greater Bridgeport's event. They have a speed networking event. So I will be speaking. So thank you for the opportunity. It's sponsored by Newtown Savings Bank. Speed networking is just something new. It's different. Monroe Chamber did it. It's a rapid fire. You got like 1 minute to give your pitch. So I am going to be teaching folks how to brand themselves in 60 seconds. So it's going to be very exciting. But we've all had...
Call up Nick Cage. Brand in 60 seconds. I'm ready.
Yeah, gone in 60 seconds. So we've all had the networker experience where somebody just comes up to you and just jams a business card in your face. That's not networking.
No, not even a little bit. You have to be able to. I mean, somebody once told me that you have to only give you that business card out when someone asks for it. In that,
correct.
If you just shove it in someone's face, you have actually decrease the likelihood that they're going to get it.
Literally. And I've seen folks just like, they get ready to go to a big chamber event and they just have like a stack of cards and they're just in there handing them out, like Gambit, like just throwing them at people. And it's just not the right approach. The first rule of thumb is you're not closing a sale, you're opening a relationship. Patricia Fripp is famous for saying that, especially if you're really interested in like a long-term sustainable business. That's the goal. And so we've heard this from Bob Cinto, people do business with people they like. So when you're networking, tell a memorable, relatable story. Be yourself first and foremost. I read a great quote, be yourself so the people that are looking for you can find you. Right. And that's something that's, the truth's the easiest thing to remember. That's another good one. A good line from Glenn Ross. Ricky Roma said that. And it's so factual when you're networking. Be yourself, share your story. And also, in the words of Rob Thomas, right? make that organic switch. Make sure that at some point you ask the other person, what do you do?
Right. It's kind of the art of good networking is similar to the art of good conversation. There has to be an ebb and flow. There has to be a back and forth to it. If you don't have that mutual energy, then that might not be a good connection for you, but it's also not going to likewise help if you force it. Yeah. You're not going to be able to connect with everybody. You want to have that genuine connection. It's interesting too that you know about being yourself, in that I find that there is, while I agree wholeheartedly, I do find that there is something about being on. I feel like you do kind of have to. You can't go there and be yourself at, Yeah,
if you're like low energy,
right?
It's not going to work in that environment. But people appreciate authenticity. If I am speaking with somebody that's low energy, I'm probably going to engage in conversation more so with that person than someone who's yucking it up like a used car salesman.
Right.
Because then I'm saying, this isn't even this guy. He just doesn't know how to turn it off.
Right.
He's just always in like, hey, everybody, how you doing? Oh, how's the weather today? And that's like, that just, turns you off.
Right. That's the other
so
extreme.
It's finding, so if someone is low energy, then they do have to prepare before that networking event and say like, okay, I'm going in. Just like we do when we go into a game.
Right.
I'm going in.
That's kind of the more mindset I think that you have to put yourself in, not to pretend to be somebody you're not.
Right.
But you kind of have to prepare yourself, much like you're psyching yourself up for the big game.
Right.
For any time of thing where you have to show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to be able to kind of just give yourself that little pep talk.
And there are some tactics that make it easier, because it is overwhelming walking into a room with 300 people. The natural thing is like, hey, there's Guy Fortt. I'm gonna go hang out with him. I already know him. We're going to have fun and pick at the appetizers, but that's not really what you're there for, right? You're there to create some new relationships, open some new relationships. So like some of the tips that I can give are just identify some folks that you're really interested in meeting. Sometimes you start out with the sponsor of the event. If the sponsor has paid a lot of money to be the sponsor, seek them out, and meet them and say, thank you for sponsoring. If it's a chamber event, go meet the chamber president. Those people know everybody in the room. So those people can make that introduction. They might say like, hey, I'm looking for I need to meet the president of Modern Plastics. I've heard good things about Ben Carbone. Can you please make an introduction for me? And have 3 or 4, tops 5. So when you leave that event, you've at least made some quality contacts. And I'm going to advise people tonight to utilize that little QR code. Many people don't use it, but LinkedIn has a feature that gives you a QR code of your profile. So a lot of folks are moving towards this. Yeah, it's right there in the search box. Like if you click on the search, if you go to your profile and you click the search box, there's this little favicon of a QR code that appears. And you click that and it flips over and it shows you your profile picture with your QR code, and you can just have somebody scan it. Wow. Or you can text it to someone.
Right.
And that's kind of like a free digital business card. We're seeing a lot of people move towards those. I still have both. I like having the paper and the QR code. I'm dating myself, but kind of old school with that regard. Right. Remember we had a whole conversation about thermography in the last episode.
Right.
But utilize that as a call to action. Alternatively, if you know your target, you can also ask the person you're speaking with. I like to cross-pollinate. Like if I, realtors and financial advisors are a dime a dozen in Fairfield County, but they also have big networks. So if you're not in the market for a house or for a financial advisor, you can also cross-pollinate and say, why don't we get together for coffee? I'll share with you my client list, and you share with me your client list, and we'll go through it. Or if you're more digitally, averse, go say, let's swap, let's connect on LinkedIn, go through my contacts, and let me know if there's anybody I can introduce you to, so that you have that warm introduction versus just the worst thing you can do is meet somebody and then right away, like send them a link and try to sell them something.
Right.
Nobody likes that. It's just kind of like, hey, can we slow down here? Can we get some foreplay here before we go right into it?
You got to know if you like the person first.
Exactly.
So what would you recommend to somebody who wants to go to a networking event? Networking event. Let's say they own a small business and they're going to the chamber, but they don't. This is their first time. There's not something that they've ever done, or even someone who might want to even start to get into the business. Yeah. How do you dive into the pool?
How do you dive into the pool? Great. So just like you're diving into a pool in real life, you put on floaties or you have some sort of flotation device. You can do the same thing at a networking event. Every chamber has boards of directors. They have ambassadors. Seek them out and say, hey, this is my first chamber event. I'm a new member. Can I hang out with you and I just want to see who you're talking to, see who the people are that you're meeting, and just kind of tag along with a board member. Or, if you're not ready to meet the chamber president, who typically they're very friendly around here, Bill Purcell or Dan Onofrio, go along with a board member of the chamber and just kind of hang, just kind of hover and hang and let them introduce you to folks and get the hang of it and see how people are interacting. And you'd be surprised. Nobody's in there talking business. They're talking about the Knicks. They're talking about the food. They're talking about their kids. You find things that are relatable with each other. And you find that in any networking event or business conversation, 80% of the conversation is not even about business. It's only like 20%. I've been to so many lunch meetings where like we got an hour and like 45 minutes of it, we have not even begun to talk about business. It's like the last 15 minutes. Right. Then you're like, all right, so are we going to sign this contract or what? But that makes for better networking, relationship building, because and going back to the cross-pollinating, it's like even if that person is not in the market for your services and you're not in the market for theirs, maybe someone in their network is. All right. So when we get back, we're going to talk to the man, the myth, and the legend.
Come on.
Guy Fortt.
Guys, if you enjoyed anything on the show today, found anything of value, we would appreciate it if you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us grow, helps us promote other businesses, and help us launch your brand.
Take us through your story.
Well, I'm a religious man, so I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
And no weapons formed shall prosper.
Wait a minute. Come on, Pastor Ramon. You know it. But let me just give you a little bit about myself. So, again, Guy Fortt, born and raised Stamford, Connecticut. Became a professional firefighter through tragedy, Myrtle Avenue. Just to give you, I don't know if you guys know this, but went through trauma there, watching a young lady get murdered in front of me.
Wow.
And that made me get into the fire department because I, again, did not want to ever see anyone be harmed and me not know what to do. So I became a professional firefighter, which then became an EMT, paramedic, so forth and so on. Went to Ground Zero, Hurricane Katrina, worked with FEMA, and then always was into entrepreneurship and building a family, focusing on finding the essence of a wonderful, beautiful woman, my wife, Dr. Tabitha Fortt, and raising a family because I did come up in a household with 6 children and a single-parent household, my mom. And so I wanted to make sure that we created that bond where it will not separate and to death do us part type situation. And we did. And we raised our children. We have 4 beautiful children. Jafar Fortt, who is a professional BKFC fighter, bare knuckle fighting champion. He's down in Florida. Kyrie Fortt, who was drafted in the 4th round by the New Orleans Saints, went to Penn State, Cal Berkeley. Anissa Fortt, who went to the University of Delaware and ran track, long jump, triple jumper. And then Omar Fortt, who went to UConn, played football, studied, got his degree dealing in commercial real estate, tried out with the Miami Dolphins, New York Jets, and ended up with the BC Lions. So all professional athletes, all of just an amazing, and they don't get it from me. They get it from my wife. She went to University of Fairfield and played basketball. You know what I mean? So we're blessed to pull all those together.
What are you guys doing in that house to create champions?
I'm saying the odds of just the 1% of the 1%. How many 1% of 1%?
We need a reality show of like the Fortt household.
That's
incredible.
Well, I have it. It's called Building Forts. The parenting lifestyle.
Seriously. So what's the secret?
I think
is it faith? Is it?
I think it intertwines with a variety of different things. So faith is.
I'm ready to buy the book when you release.
You got that right, and it's on its way too.
Okay.
Seriously, I think
it's a blueprint that many families need.
You're really absolutely positively correct. That
maybe it's the 1186 water.
It could be the water. I haven't even gotten into that yet.
We're not even there
It's the
yet,
holy water. 1186. How many chapters in the Bible? 1,189. And we switched it over, the 9 to the 6. Up underneath every bottle cap is a Bible verse. Unbelievable. Unbelievable when I'm thinking about
value.
Yeah. But anyway.
The official water of Mission Control.
I just do believe, though, man, if you intertwine faith, family, you show the children, you specifically the children, you tell them, hey, man, at the end of the day, do not, disrespect our names. Mm-hmm. Get after it like your hair is on fire. Continue to grow, build, and you will be successful. We will always have your back. We will always be there for you. You will be successful. Speaking it into existence. Right. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And we did that with our children and with ourselves. So we continuously speak it. We're not perfect beings, but we continuously speak it into existence of positivity and being able to get to the next level.
And like entrepreneur, actor, fireman, dad, husband, what's a day in the life of Guy Fortt look like?
Well, just to give you a little understanding, so I gave you all my background, right? So entrepreneur has always been with who I am. Very, very much a couple of friends of mine, Russell Davis, and these guys, we've always been into this entrepreneurial background. So when I was 25 years old, I owned a restaurant. I didn't know what I was doing, a Jamaican food restaurant, but I wanted to own it.
Entrepreneurs got to be a little crazy.
It's crazy, but I tried it. The blessing that I had, I was at the fire department. And with the fire department, back then you worked 3 days on, 3 days off. Right. Now you work 1 24-hour shift on, 3 days off. So that gave me the time to be able to do the things that I love to do, like go on Broadway and be in the Color Purple for 4 years, be able to build the foundations of entrepreneurship, be able to help get into the water. So the day in the life of Guy Fortt is getting up. Usually on Wednesdays, I get up early in the morning. I do Bible study with my brothers, every man a warrior. 5:30, 6 o'clock, I'm off to JM Rytech School, helping out with the kids' mentorship. While I'm there, I'm also doing some other work, entrepreneurial work. Then I get home, 3 or 4 o'clock, let's say. I will go right into building the brand and trying to get purchase orders. And with the bottled water company, the reason, if you don't mind me going into this real quick and fast. So with the bottled water company, I think what was the most intriguing and the most important thing about this is that this brother by the name of Marquise Forge down in a small little town, about 1,000 people, named the name of the town was Otagoville, Alabama. And it was about $10 or $15 away from closing down. So he came to 4 different families and said, hey, can you help my neighborhood, my town, revitalize itself? And we, I looked into it. I went down there with my wife and I and family. We went down and we looked at it. It was like, let's look into this water and see what it's like. And tasted it, liked it, started doing our research, invested in the product. And I got to be honest with you, we've hired, that with his leadership, because he's down there, I'm not there. Yeah. Well, with his leadership and with I believe the Lord behind it and the focus of the other partners around there, they have done some amazing things with the water brand and with the water itself. We revitalized the town. We have 36.
What does that mean?
Well, we have 36 employees now. The town was about ready to close down.
So you revitalized the economy in the town.
Yes, absolutely. The infrastructure is now in there, bringing in internet.
It's not just product development, it's economic development.
Absolutely.
Really creating opportunity.
Exactly. And that to me was the first and foremost tactic that I paid attention to. And then the water, that was the icing on the cake. So this gentleman had a vision, and his vision Marquise was to dig a hole about 1,000 feet into the earth, get it tested over and over and over and over and over again, and come to find out that we have the purest water on earth with a 6.9 pH balance. It has no fillers, no preservatives, no metals, no toxins. It is the purest water based upon the studies that is here present domestically in the United States, and one of the few African-American owned organizations in the U.S.
So he it just happened to be on his property, or did he buy the well or the?
No, what
the
happened
site?
was a guy came to him, an older guy that owned this is the sharecropping location.
Mm-hmm.
So
Where exactly is it?
It's like close to Mobile.
Okay, Alabama.
But it's really short, it's really small. Otagoville, I'm telling you, it's like 1,000 people. So this gentleman, Caucasian gentleman, came to him and said, "Hey, you're from here. This town is hurting, and we need you to help us out." So he thought, like, "Hey, I can give a couple of dollars and it'll be fine." He was a valedictorian of University of Alabama, smart guy. Mm. So he says, "I can give a couple of dollars, and I'll be fine giving a couple of dollars if you don't mind." He was like, "No. I want you to go and create this bottled water company." There was one there that existed, but it was old, so forth and so on. And so Marquise went in there.
So they knew there was a source of water.
There was a source of water. So we own the source. We own the bottle making machine. We own the facility, which is a 72,000 square foot facility right now. We own the, it's just amazing. It keeps growing and growing and growing. We own the machine. I don't know how much that costs, but it does 80 million bottles a year right now.
Wow.
And we're building another machine that's going to do 200,000 plus bottles a year. We just got 395 new stores on point with us. Winn-Dixie in the South. You ever heard of Winn-Dixie?
Yeah, it's a big chain.
Big chain. Yeah. They want us to go into all their stores. We have Budweiser's our distributor. Yeah. I mean, it just keeps growing and going.
Publix, are they in Publix? Publix is a very Christian type of store, so maybe it seems like this brand kind of aligns with that.
That could be a possibility. I'm not really sure. I know Piggly Wiggly's, Winn-Dixie's, and all those type of areas.
You got to get it in Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is my favorite store down south.
Is it?
Shout out
Never
to
heard
Buc-ee's.
Of them.
Yeah.
Shout out to Buc-ee's.
Yeah. Put that on the list.
Yeah.
Oh man, so this is great. So it sounds like it was a water brand. And what's the population like in that town? It sounds small.
1,000 people.
Wow.
And of the 1,000, 36 of them are working.
Wow. In this plant?
In the plant that was built 8 years ago.
Wow. And so this came up to you guys. What's Dr. Tabitha's connection? Is it family?
Yes. So this came to us because Marquise and Dr. Fortt's brother, Calvin Brickhouse, who's from Bridgeport, by the way, they worked together. And he said, "Hey, would you be interested in investing in a bottled water company?" And so he came to his sister and said, "Hey, would you be interested in a bottled water company?" And she said yes, and she knocked on my door, and we did it.
So when she told you, what was your first reaction?
Well, when I went down there and I saw this like old tin, beat up, rusted barrel that they wanted me to drink water out of, I looked at her like, "You are crazy." I'm not, number one, I'm not investing in this. And number two, I'm not drinking out of it. I'm just being honest.
You have to drink out of it with no arms, like just stick your head in there and drink out of it.
There's a video.
A Dunkin' tank.
There's a video. I looked at one of the guys. He was like, "I'm not drinking out of it." And he looked at me. I said, "I'm not drinking out of it." And so the brother that lived down there, Marquise, he drank out of it, and we tried it. And then when we tried it, we were like, wow.
What was the taste?
Clean. Yeah. Fresh, no aftertaste. Now I know it's something called TDS, total dissolved solvents. Yeah, TDS. That's the taste of a water. Sometimes some water has a sulfury.
Yeah, because it has like minerals and things and metals and
all that type of stuff, right? Like, and I'm not here to degrade other waters. Right. I'm not going to do that. But I know what this water does present, and I know based upon testing this water how amazing it is.
And let's talk about the brand, because you're comparing it to like Fiji or Evian. It's an artisan, artesian water.
Yeah, it's an artesian water. The comparisons are Fiji and Voss.
Okay.
The difference between 1186 artesian and 1186 artesian, Voss, and Fiji is that here in the United States, we are domestically inclined to have this artesian water where you get the Fiji water. It's from the Fiji Islands. Voss, as you know, is a really good water. And I'm being very honest, when they did the comparison of the, and I can send you guys the graph of the pH balances and so forth and so on. Yeah. We like blew everyone out of the water.
And it's funny you mentioned Fiji and Voss because they have like very distinct bottle shapes.
Correct.
Right.
You know, it's like a cylinder, and then the other one's like a square. In a world of round bottles, you know, they have a square. So it's like in that water space, like we preach this often too. It's just differentiating your brand.
Right. How do you disrupt what everyone's already doing
Yeah.
to make yourself stand out?
Well, and that's important. You do have to have your differentiators. The 6.9 is a differentiator. You have alkaline water, which is really high in alkalinity. You have some waters that are very low in the pH balance. Another differentiator with us is there is no metals, there is no toxins. The salt content between us and some other brands are amazing. We have extremely very little salt because this right here is being purified by the rock, lime rock. So the purification process is natural up underneath the earth.
So you've really educated yourself once you became a partner. You had to learn.
You got to learn and understand. You know, I don't know it all. Those guys are even more knowledgeable than I. But I know you have to know what you're talking about when you're explaining this product to others, because the taste of the water, and you can taste when water is bad. Mm-hmm. There's some bad waters out there. I'm not going to name any names, but there's some bad waters.
Yeah, there's some that are like straight tap.
Well,
being sold as spring and so on and so forth. We don't have to go into bashing anybody.
No,
we know what's up.
We do know.
So health benefits.
Yeah. So from a healthy perspective, it goes back to community.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why, you know, we the KAO distribution team. So KAO is my children, Kyrie, Anissa, and Omar. Now, the other gentleman, Jay, which is my other son, Jafar, he didn't really want to have his name in there. But the distribution team of the children are here to distribute the water.
You're building a legacy for your family.
Building a legacy for the family, letting them understand entrepreneurship too, so that they can, all of them are out of town right now. That's why they're not here. And I'm here. Look, you got Dad representing them, right? Amazing. Right. Once again, but
The Rock. And by the way, that was a great TV show that he reminds me of.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, you could have been The Rock.
You know what I'm saying?
Not the Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, the father.
The father on
Rocky.
Rocky.
The original Rocky.
Rocky. A lot of people tell me that all the time.
Your delivery, you know, everything. You definitely, it's a compliment.
Thank you, man.
He's a great actor.
I'm trying to figure out how did it become competitive in the household when you realize that one child is good? Oh, you're like, do you realize the talent that they have, and then does that inspire your other children? Does that become then internally competitive? I'm trying to process
right.
There are no slouches in the Fortt household.
Yeah.
No, right.
Great question.
I'm just wondering what that just even with raising my daughters are have a big age gap. So at the same time, them all coming up together, I can only imagine that getting a little bit more competitive, or what you do as a parent when you say, "Wow, you're really talented for this," or do people tell you? Is it that the coaches or a scout or something comes up and says, "Hey, just by the way,"
great question.
They're talented.
You know what it is? I think everyone has a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of our children and us, we all have gifts, and you have to analyze and go through the process of elimination of what they're not good at, and then uplift what you find. And you have to go through it to recognize what it is. So I knew all my children are very academically gifted, but also athletically. I saw it at young age. Like Kyrie was a different type of kid. You know, he was born with a major speech impediment, but he was so damn big that there was no one laughing at him. Right? And I was like, man, this guy's big.
That's one way to stop bullying.
Exactly.
Just be huge.
He was so big at the time, you know. He was like a Tony Elliott type of guy, you know, that people saw him and it was like, you ain't gonna mess with this guy, you know, the stuttering. And we took him through speech therapy, so forth and so on. He walked with, you know, when you lack vitamin D and you're walking with rickets, he was walking like that because at birth, the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck, so he didn't get enough oxygen. So he was blue, like this bottle here, and we didn't know if he was going to make it. And because of that, we thought there was going to be major neurological issues. Some of the issues were stuttering and walking like this. That turned into a Forrest Gump type of situation where he started to just move away from all of that took off the braces, started running, and was drafted in the 3rd round by the New Orleans Saints.
That's insane.
And
Just
what are you
overcoming
doing?
adversity.
What are you doing at
No
draft?
excuses.
What's
No
the
excuses.
experience of draft day as the parent? I can only imagine are you anxious? Are you like, what? Just let the Lord take it. Whatever happens, happens. You know what I mean? Do you start to like? Do you have projections? People telling you, well, don't expect the first, maybe the second, or totally surprised. Just curious about that whole process.
Real quick at the process. So players prior to going to the draft, you can get to the NFL folks and say, hey, is this guy going to be drafted? And they will give you yay, nay, 1st, 3rd, 7th. No, not at all.
Right.
You know, they'll give you some precursors on whether you're going to be drafted or not.
Okay.
And they told him between, the 3rd and the 7th round. So we already knew. We just didn't know when.
Mm-hmm.
And that was exciting though for him, for us, for the family.
Lots to be proud of, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, when you guys come out with that book of what the formula is on raising champions, because they're all champions and good people.
Building forts.
Building
the
forts.
Parenting lifestyle.
Can't wait. So tell our listeners where they could support 1186 water, where they can get it, how do they order it? Because you're doing corporate orders,
right?
So just kind of drop some gems there.
Right. So again, the distribution company is KAO Distribution. If you want to order water right now here in the Northeast, you can go to KAO Distribution or at KAO Distribution, and we are revamping our website as we speak. But you can go there. You can, based upon deliveries, we will deliver to you, so forth and so on. We do have water in stores in Stamford. Not many stores, but like Papa's Pizza, Jimmy's Restaurant, and we're building. And we want to come. We want to make this brand a known brand in the Northeast. That's the whole point. In the Southeast right now, it's kicking butt. In the Northeast is what we want to do. And I'm telling you, this water here is a great water, not only for athletes, because we are all athletes. The athlete in you. Right. It could be a senior that's an athlete. You know what I mean? So we're branding it here, KAO. We're branding it KAO Distribution. We're branding it from that perspective of athletes, but also it's for everyone.
Right, because there's electrolytes and benefits in it.
Absolutely.
For health, for sports.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So everybody listen, get on board with this. It's new to the area, but not for long. As we continue to move forward, and we're going to do everything we can here at Mission Control to help you launch your brand.
Truly a blessing, man. Thank you so much, Ramon.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you for being on the show. We didn't even get into your workout regimen, which I'm completely, jealous of that and want to be as huge. But just an inspiration to many, and you've been one for me personally for many years. Just watching you and how you move, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you guys.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we